Hello and welcome to another Belfast programme podcast. I'm Arthur McKeown and tonight I'm with Daniel Nolan, who's been around the Belfast programme for a while now. And we're talking about some of the work he's been doing recently in Spain. So really, just to start off, tell us a little bit about yourself, Daniel.
Okay, hello. As Arthur said, my name's Daniel Nolan. I'm 23 years old. I've been working as an English teacher in Spain, in Valencia in particular, in Spain for the past year. I graduated last year from university. I have a degree in law with Spanish language. So during that degree, I spent a year in Valencia. Now I wasn't English teaching then, but I got to know a lot of English teachers, and that's what first, I suppose, attracted me towards teaching English as a foreign language. After I graduated last summer, I did the TEFL Academy course, the 120-hour course. So I completed that in around 2 months last summer, and that's when I started volunteering here at the Belfast Unemployed Resource Centre. So I started volunteering, helping out, teaching. Well, at the time I was teaching English, I suppose, to foreign nationals, helping them gain employability. For me, it was perfect because really, with the TEFL Academy, it's more or less totally online. The course, you have a small bit of practical teaching. So for me to come here was very good in terms of getting experience. So I spent the guts of probably 2 months observing yourself and others teaching, and then.
And in particular, I remember you did some work with the Horn of Africa people up at Wellington Park.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, so
tell us about that.
Yes, in the at the Islamic Centre up in Wellington Park. Yeah, so I was helping out absolute beginner classes of really people who had just arrived in Belfast. Well, they weren't in Belfast very long, very little English, and so we're teaching English to absolute beginners, which really was a great experience because you're not often given that teaching in any real teaching course. So I suppose that was great. Great for developing confidence, great for observing different techniques to teach, and getting different resources and ideas, which was a good experience for me then when I was going off to Spain to first.
And can you tell us a little bit more just about the process, the steps you had to go through in getting the job that you went on to in Spain?
In Spain, yeah. So I arrived in Spain without really the CELTA qualification, which a lot of academies actually look for. So I had applied, before I left, I had applied for several academies. I'd applied online. Really, I suppose at this point I should mention, to apply for jobs. Well, in Valencia, I was advised of different websites. Okay, there's one Loquo, which actually doesn't exist anymore, and Facebook sites. So in Valencia, in Valencia in particular, is a very vibrant Facebook community, English teacher Facebook community, where people post up adverts. So I was responding to adverts in that, sending them my CV, setting up interviews before I went out there. The first week then, I went to 2 or 3 interviews. The interviews went quite well, but they said they'd get back to me. And then at that same time, I also met a girl who had posted an advert. She was, I suppose, an agency that offered private English classes, as opposed to English classes in an academy in a classroom, etc. So after thinking about it for a while, I decided to go down that route and take up her job offer as sort of an agency work. So she provided me with private students, a lot of them kids, but also adults. So I started teaching like that. And once you start doing the classes, you develop a bit of confidence. People then recommend you to their friends. Well, this is what happens in Spain anyway. Yep. You're recommended to friends of.
Very good. And can you tell us a wee bit more about the sort of teaching you were doing? It was kids and teenagers, adults, all general English?
It was a mixture. Really, it depends. It depended a lot really on the school timetable. So kids, I was basically their out of hours English tutor. So I was going into their houses. a lot of it was continuing what they were doing in school, but in a more enjoyable way. So a lot of the methods that they use in Spanish schools anyway can be quite antiquated, quite boring. So a lot of the parents want you to come and do activities, but still following what they're doing in school, taking the grammar points that they're doing in school and making them more enjoyable, sort of just giving them that boost in terms of English. And that was with kids. With teenagers, similar, but usually they have a higher level because they've gone through the Spanish schooling system, so they've a higher level, so you're introducing more, I suppose, the English textbook materials or different materials that I got here and that I got online. And
so. And with adults, what sort of things?
With adults, again, it depends on the adults. I have several adult students. Some are keen on just having conversation classes, because one, for example, is a salesperson. So during the classes we practice different sales pitches. I pretend to maybe be the customer and he's the salesperson, and then in the future he was going to be ringing customers to sell his particular product. So we're practicing things like that. I'm teaching him different techniques, different phrases to use. With other students, you're preparing them for specific exams. So it basically just depends on what the student wanted.
And more generally, what's Valencia like as a place to live?
Yeah, it's a fantastic city. Really, when I went there as a student, I loved it. And really, at the time, I really wanted to move back, and English teaching gave me that opportunity, the ticket to go back to Valencia. It's a beautiful city. It's quite easy to settle into. There's quite a big English teachers community, and they're pretty well connected, as I said before, through Facebook groups. And there they'll post up social events, or even, as I said, job adverts or different things.
And is there any one hot tip or piece of advice you'd give to anybody who was thinking of going perhaps the TEFL Academy route and then maybe to Spain or even to Valencia?
I suppose from the TEFL Academy point of view, I think, well, for me anyway, the important thing was to build confidence, because really you come out of TEFL Academy and you feel as if you're a bit underprepared in comparison with people who studied CELTA. So for me, that's why this program was very beneficial, because I got to actually have genuine classroom experience. And so I suppose people have that opportunity to even volunteer, to look out, to observe, or things you can develop.
So while you were getting ready to go, you were building up a bit of confidence and applying the skills, maybe after observing the classes through a 10-minute contribution or a 20-minute contribution, and that gave you a booster of confidence to
go. And you weren't thrown in the deep end. You were given 10 minutes, here's an activity, do this for the class, and then maybe next week you do 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And I suppose before going out then, when you go out, as I said before, Facebook or online, plenty of adverts, and in Spain anyway, but I think Spain would be very similar to most Western European countries.
And what's next for Daniel?
Well, I'm going back to Spain now in September to start it all over again, to continue on with the work I was doing this year. I'll have mostly the same.
So it has worked?
Yeah, it's worked well.
You're keen to get back?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thanks as ever, and we hope it'll go well, and indeed we'll look forward to hearing a situation report maybe at Christmas or next year, whenever you're back at this time. Thank you again. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of this podcast. I will be around with various other people in the weeks and months to come. So it's good night from me.
And good night from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Goodbye.